Hey, Fort Worth, if you're searching, should I sell or buy a house now in 2025 or wait until next year? This Tarrant County real estate market update is for you. With this data, we'll answer, are Fort Worth home prices dropping? Will 2025 mortgage rates finally fall? Is inventory rising enough to give buyers leverage to even start buying? Whether you're a first-time home buyer, investor, or downsizer, let's break down exactly what's happening in the next 15 minutes so you can decide, do I jump in or do I hold off? Hello, everyone. I'm Robert Barton, your dedicated real estate expert here in Fort Worth, Texas area. And I have people just like you reaching out to me every single week to help them with their next move. If you would like to have a more private one-on-one conversation on how I can help you, feel free to contact me here or click any of the links in the description below. Now stick around because by the end of this video, you'll know the exact numbers for our area right now and be able to make an informed, educated decision on buying and selling. So let's dive in. So getting right into the market overview. Welcome to the Tarrant County Spring 2025 Housing Market Update. A market that's looking more balanced than we've seen in recent years, yet it's still full of opportunity. Here's a quick snapshot of the latest stats for March 2025 with comparison to March 2024. So let's talk about home sales. About 1,700 homes were sold in March 2025, roughly on par with a year ago. March 2024 saw about 1,880 homes, indicating steady buyer demand despite the higher interest rates. Homes are still changing hands in a healthy clip. Now let's talk about prices. The median sales price for a house in Tarrant County is around $350,000 this March, which is essentially flat, probably up 1% since last year. In other words, prices held steady, no big spikes, but no big crashes either. For context, Fort Worth's median price was about $347,000 last March in 2024, and it's about the same now, so it's a sign of a stable market. Now let's talk about inventory. Housing supply has expanded significantly. Active listings are up about 28% compared to this time last spring, giving buyers more choices. We have roughly 3.2 months of inventory in Tarrant County now versus only 2.5 months in March of 2024. Remember, a 4-month supply is considered a balanced market. So at just over 3 months of inventory, we're closer to a balance, but still slightly favoring sellers. More homes on the market mean less frenzy. Great news for buyers. Now let's talk about days on market. Homes are generally taking longer to sell than they did a year ago. The average days on market in March 2025 was about 59 days. That's up from 47 days in March 2024. That's a 25% increase year over year, and that's a pretty big shift. The median days on market jumped from about 23 days last March to roughly 33 days this March. Translation: instead of selling in 1 week like during the frenzy of 2021, the typical home now sits for almost 2 months before going under contract. This gives buyers more breathing room and signs that sellers need to prepare to start selling at a sooner list date and price and prepare their homes correctly to attract offers. Median and average days can be confusing, so let's try to break it down a little bit further for you. So median is basically the midpoint where half the homes sold faster and half sold slower. Don't get confused with average days on market. A home that's priced right and prepped right should sell within 33 days in our market right now. Then a large majority of the active homes that are left over should sell within the 59 days in our market right now. That's the average. Then the odds are that the rest will either expire or cancel. So we have home seller winners and we have home seller losers. This market is pretty much demanding that you price and prep your home correctly the first time. Now let's talk list to sale price ratio. On average, homes aren't commanding much above their list price right now. In fact, the average sell to list ratio is hovering around 97%. A year ago in spring, many homes were still selling at about 98% or even slightly above asking price. Now sellers are getting about 97 cents on the dollar. This slight dip means buyers could have a bit more negotiating power. You might not have to bid over asking price on every home. According to our MLS data and the Realtor.com stats, roughly half of the sellers have been accepting offers below their asking price in recent months in our area. Now let's talk about expireds and withdrawn listings for March 2025. One striking change is the surge in homes that didn't sell. More sellers are pulling listings off the market or letting them expire if they don't get the price they want. In fact, the number of expired listings spiked dramatically this spring. One mid-March report showed expired listings were up 550% and cancellations were up 250% from the same period last year. Simply put, March 2025, far more homes went unsold than a year ago, likely because some sellers overshot the price and buyers had more options to look at. This is further evidence of our market normalizing. Sellers can't just stick a sign in the yard and get 50 offers anymore. You've got to be strategic. I wouldn't even attempt a for sale by owner right now unless you already had someone interested in buying your home. But more on that in the next video, where I'm going to cover everything about the seller side concerning our market. Sellers, I cannot emphasize enough on picking the right realtor here. One that knows math, one that thinks like an appraiser, and knows how to market more than just putting on the MLS. Now, everyone can pull a Zestimate or pull the amount the county appraiser thinks your home is worth. Note, both of these sources give you a price unseen, but a good realtor is going to get neighborhood specific, he's going to get time specific, and more importantly, type and size of home specific to give you an accurate list price for the current market and your area. If all the houses in your neighborhood are selling for $400,000, we can't just list it for $500,000 because you have a gut feeling it will work. Now, on the flip side of this data for buyers, it means you may see more stale listings that you can negotiate on, or even revisit homes that fell off the market. But buyers, I also cannot emphasize enough on picking your realtors either. They should be doing market analysis of every home that you're interested in, giving you the pros and cons, and informing you if it's properly priced and worth your offer. Don't be the buyer that misses the appraised value of the home you want when the mortgage company sends their appraiser out. Now, Tarrant County is big. In our area, every suburb, neighborhood, and little city has its own individual market that might be much different than the entire Tarrant or Dallas County market lumped together. If you want a market update for your individual neighborhood or your town, comment market below. Or if you'd like me to drop by and do a price analysis of your home, just comment home below. They're both free services we offer. All right, moving on. Overall, the Tarrant County market in spring 2025 is balanced but optimistic. We have stable prices, more inventory, and a bit more give and take between buyers and sellers. It's not the frenzied seller's market of 2 to 3 years ago, but it's far from a downturn. Think of it as a healthy, normalized market, the kind where local expertise and strategy make all the difference. And that's where I come in. And please stop getting advice off the national news. That is always doom and gloom. They often talk about real estate in New York, California, and very rarely do we hear about Fort Worth real estate. Why? Because it's not horrible news, and they want horrible all the time on the news. However, full disclosure, home prices are at an all-time high all the way across the country when compared to wage increases, but according to our numbers, I don't see them falling anytime in the near future, but they might go flat for a while. Pro tip, when mortgage interest rates are low, home prices are higher. It's caused by more demand and a large increase of buyers looking to buy, which eats up the inventory. When interest rates were at 2.75%, I had 50 offers on every home I was selling, and most were over asking price. Buyers were losing up to 10 offers in a row before they finally got into something that wasn't even their dream home because of the lack of inventory, and sellers didn't want to negotiate at all. Now interest rates are 6.7%. I only have about 2 to 3 offers on each home, and sellers are willing to negotiate a lot. So pick your headache here. Last but not least, let's talk about the mortgage rate forecast. We can't talk about Fort Worth real estate market without tackling the mortgage rates question. Rates play a huge role in both buyer affordability and seller strategy because they influence the buyer demand. So what's going on with interest rates as of April 2025, and where might they be headed in the next 6 months? As of right now, 30-year fixed mortgage rates are averaging in the mid 6% range for well-qualified buyers. According to Freddie Mac's weekly survey, the average 30-year rate is about 6.6%. These rates have been relatively stable in recent weeks. To put into perspective, a year ago, spring 2024, rates were also in the mid 6% range. So we're not dramatically different year over year. And remember, historically speaking, 6 to 7% is not sky high. It's easy to forget that because we all got used to 3% rates in 2020, 2021, but the historical average for the past 30 years, the rate's around 7%. So while today's rates are higher than pandemic lows, they're still below long-term norms. However, housing prices and wages aren't. Buyer tip: date the rate, marry the house. You may have heard this phrase, but it's true. You can refinance your mortgage later, but you can't go back in time and buy a house at yesterday's price. If you find the right home, don't let a 6.5% rate scare you off. Many lenders have refinance programs, and some even offer free refi within a certain period if the rates drop. The consensus among experts is that we might see rates gradually decline in late 2025 or 2026 as inflation comes under control. So, Fred Bolstad, head of the home lending at U.S. Bank, he puts it this way: for aspiring home buyers, the right time to buy really depends on your individual goals and your individual financial situation. If you're in the financial position to afford the payments on a home you find in love right now, there's no need to wait. And I couldn't agree more. So a good strategy for buyers is to buy the home you love now, start building equity, and plan to refinance to a lower rate in the future if and when the rates fall. In the meantime, there are also creative financing options like a 2-1 buy down program, adjustable rate mortgages. They can even give you a lower initial rate. I can connect you with a trusted local lender to explore these options. Just comment lender below and I'll get that over to you. Next thing we'll get into is the near-term rate forecast, basically the next 6 months. So will rates go down, or are they going to keep going up in the next coming months? Major forecasts predict rates will remain in the mid 6% range through the entire summer. For example, Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, the National Association of Realtors, and the Mortgage Bankers Association all publish rate projections. On average, they're expecting the 30-year fix to hover around 6.5 to 6.8% through the first 3 quarters of 2025. In plain English, no one is predicting a sudden drop in rates in the immediate future. But they also don't expect a spike upward, so that's good news. It's a bit of a holding pattern, per se. But if you're going to use reasonable planning to figure out for the next 6 months, I'd probably use around 6.5%, give or take. Now let's talk late 2025 and the 2026 outlook. What lies beyond the summer? Looking slightly further out, there's a cautious optimism that by the end of 2025 into 2026, rates could trend lower. Some forecasters have the 30-year rate in the low 6s or even the high 5 range. So if you're a buyer waiting for a 5% rate, you might be waiting for a while. And home prices or rents could climb in the meantime. My advice is consider any rate dips as a bonus rather than something to count on in the short term. Now, these forecasts were all done before all these tariffs were imposed, and Congress is still working on the national tax cuts. So we have to see how this all plays out. Might be 6 months though, but the Fed could be forced to drop rates earlier than expected. Once again, I don't advise guessing or timing the market. It's a tough one. Probably better to go with all the other stats and all the other rate projections from people that are way smarter than us. So implications for buyers and sellers. For buyers, as discussed, the current rate environment means you should budget for around 6.5% interest rates. Rates aren't punishingly high, and there's always ways to reduce your monthly payment, bigger down payments, some buy downs, etc. And if rates do drop significantly after you buy your home, then it's an opportunity to refinance with a lower rate, and we can also lower your payment. For sellers, recognize that these rates cap some buyers' budgets compared to a few years ago, which is partly why our price appreciation is leveled off. Marketing your home effectively to truly qualified buyers, like buyers moving from higher cost areas and they have good down payments, that might be the key. In short, don't let the rate headlines paralyze you. The rates are what they are, and they're very likely to be stable to slightly improving as we go into 2026. But before we wrap up, I want to underline that buying or selling a home is a very personal decision. The right timing is when it aligns with your life and your financial situation. My goal with this update is to give you knowledge and context. Knowledge is power, and I want you to feel empowered to make the best decision for you and your family. Whether you're thinking about buying or selling or even both, I'm here as a local resource. Feel free to contact me for personalized consultations about your specific situation. I love talking about real estate. I mean, it's my job, but it's also my passion. If you just have a question about the market or you want a second opinion, just reach out anytime. So buy now or wait. Well, in Fort Worth spring 2025 market, there are opportunities either way. Buyers have more leverage now than they've had in years, and sellers can still achieve great results with the right strategy. In the end, the right move comes down to your goals. If you found this update useful, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more local market update insights. Thanks for watching, and remember, when you have the right information and the right agent by your side, you can move forward with confidence. I'm Rob Barton, your Fort Worth real estate resource. Let's make your real estate goals a reality this spring. Feel free to reach out. I'm always here to help. And until next time, take care. God bless you and your family. Rob out.